right, guys, thanks for coming. We're so excited to have Chrissy Barth here again. She's worked with Major League Baseball teams. She's worked with the Cardinals. She's worked in different settings. She's a teacher at ASU for dietetics. She's done such a range of different things when it comes to nutrition and dietetics, so we're so excited here to have her. It's going to be super informal, so when you have questions, ask. If you have questions for the team members that aren't here at the towers, you can email me at monique_watland@uhaul.com or comment in the YouTube section, and we'll read out your questions out loud so that Chrissy can answer. So we're so excited to have her. And Chrissy, I'll let you take it away.
Great, thank you. Welcome. Hello. So today we're going to talk about high performance fuel for athletes and exercise enthusiasts. So when it comes to like just living an overall healthy lifestyle, I think it's important that we take into consideration how we're fueling, so how we're eating, along with exercise. So one story that I had a client years ago, and he was trying to lose weight healthfully, and his thing to me was that he said to me that he wants to first, lose his weight through how he's eating, and then once he loses the weight, he'll start to exercise. But I think that's a little backwards thinking. I think exercise and nutrition go hand in hand to help you reach whatever goal that you're trying to achieve. So when it comes to athletes or people that just enjoy exercising, there was a quote that I came across years ago, and it's kind of stuck with me. So it says, "Nutrition can make a good athlete great and a great athlete good." So you can have an athlete who is a phenomenal athlete, but if they're not fueling their bodies appropriately, they're not going to perform at their best. And on the flip side, you can have somebody that might not be the best athlete, but if they're eating well, they're going to perform better. So nutrition is very important. I worked with a sports medicine doctor, and he said to me that nutrition is about 80% to your sports performance. So it's very important, and that was from a sports medicine doctor. So nutrition is very important. So there's different benefits of sports nutrition. So some of these include, if you're eating right, you're going to have more energy, which we all want more energy. You're going to have an improved work performance. So at work, you're going to perform better, and also when you're exercising, you're going to feel better and perform better. You're also going to have an improved recovery time from your workouts and competition. So if you're eating correctly, you're better prepared for your next workout. If you're not going to refuel appropriately after you work out, you're going to set yourself up to be in more of a disadvantage when you exercise next time. So nutrition is really important for after you work out too. You're going to get sick less, and you're going to have less muscle soreness if you're fueling appropriately. Your overall quality of life is also going to improve if you're eating well. Your risk of injury is going to decrease as well. Your sleep is going to be much better. I know a lot of my clients that I work with complain of not sleeping well, and that could be due to maybe cutting their calories too low or eating too much. So eating the right amounts of foods at the right time can also help with sleep, which then better improves your overall exercise performance. You're going to get stronger. You're going to improve body composition. So a lot of people are so focused on that number on the scale, and I like to move away from that and more towards body composition. So what that means is that you want to focus more on your body fat percentage and your muscle percentage, because somebody can come in and see me, and they could be by the scale overweight, but when we take their body composition, they could actually be healthy. They could have a healthy body fat percentage. So weight is a very misleading number, going more towards body composition. And then lastly, an overall improved memory and mood. So when we're eating well, we actually feel better too. So it can drastically affect our mood. And during this presentation, if you have any questions, you can always ask them. If not, we'll save time for after the presentation to ask questions. So different goals for sports nutrition. So there are 3 top goals when it comes to how you're fueling for your sport or exercise. The first one is that you want to maximize your performance and recovery. You also want to maintain adequate hydration, because if you are dehydrated, that sets yourself up for not performing at your best, being tired, sluggish, might make you more hungry too if we're really dehydrated. You're also going to have a decreased risk of illness and injury if you're eating well. And this is all achieved through being consistent with your exercise program, with eating right in terms of the portions, proportions of what you're eating, and the timing of your meals. Planning ahead. Many of us lead very busy lives, so it's really important that we plan ahead if we can. And then timing too. So what's really important about timing is eating the right amounts of food at the right time during the day, which can affect your overall exercise performance. So what you see here, these are 6 keys that optimally drive nutrition performance. So each one of these is very, very important. Years ago, I had an athlete come in to see me, and he was a wrestler in college, and he was no longer wrestling, and he wanted to gain weight. And so I encouraged him to write down a food log, bring in any supplements that he was taking to his first session with me. So he comes in and he brings in these 2 big duffel bags, and I thought maybe he just worked out. But as I'm sitting there talking to him, he starts taking out all of his supplements from these 2 big duffel bags. And then he took out this little, tiny piece of paper with his food record. And for example, breakfast was 6 egg whites. And he was trying to gain weight, and he thought that he could gain weight by using all these supplements. Kind of backwards thinking. You want to build a healthy foundation with whole foods first and then supplement accordingly. But all these 6 keys are all very important. So staying well hydrated is very important. We need roughly, and I'll cover this later on, but in terms of staying well hydrated, we need about ½ to 1 ounce of fluid per pound of body weight, and then an additional roughly 2 to 4 cups of fluid per hour of exercise. If you fall short on your hydration needs, you might actually be more hungry, when in reality we're dehydrated. Water also helps flush out toxins, increases our energy, alertness, our mood too. So staying well hydrated, very important. And I can't, there are clients that I've had in the past who were overweight, men, and some of them, all they would drink is 2 cups of water a day, and they probably need about 3 to 4 liters of water a day. So water is very important. About 60 to 70% of our bodies are made of water, so we need a lot of water. Eating a balanced and varied diet is also very important. If we eat the same things all the time, it's okay, but over a period of time, I would add some more variety into that, because if we eat the same things all the time, we're going to be missing out on a lot of vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. Energy intake, whatever your goal is, whether that is to maintain a healthy weight range, lose weight, gain weight, the amount of calories that you're consuming and the proportion of where you're getting your calories from is very important. So carbohydrate, proteins, and fats, each one of us has our own individualized ratio of carbs, proteins, and fats. So that's really important. Nutrient timing is also very important. So if you're exercising every day, it's very critical that you eat something within 15 to 30 minutes after you work out. If you don't, then you set yourself up for getting injured or getting sick. If you think of our muscles as being a wet sponge post-exercise, that's the critical period to help replete whatever's been lost from your workouts. The longer you wait, our muscles dry out, so it's harder for the body to recover then. And that's really only important if you're exercising every day for an hour or so. If you're exercising 3 to 4 times a week, I wouldn't particularly put too much emphasis on nutrient timing. Meal frequency, also very important. Some people can benefit from 3 balanced meals a day, 2 to 4 snacks a day, others 3 meals a day. You just don't want to go longer than 5 hours in between your meals. If you do, metabolism starts to slow down. So based on whatever meal or the timing of your meals, you can kind of figure out when you should have a snack in between that. And then, yep. Oh, sure.
When you start eating more snacks and more frequently, why is it that you feel like you're hungry all the time?
So if you're eating snacks more frequently, why do you always feel hungry?
Yep.
That might be, and if you're eating a lot of snacks throughout the day, you want to be careful that snacks can be more equivalent to a meal. So I would take a good look and see how big your meals are. Maybe your meals aren't large enough, and that's why you're snacking more. And then also the other important thing about snacks is getting in a good mix of carbs and protein. So an example of that would be a handful of almonds and a piece of fruit. If people consume a lot of carbohydrate-rich foods, they tend to not satiate us as much as if we have protein with that carbohydrate. And I'll cover different snack ideas later on today too. And then lastly are supplements. Now this says NSF certified for sport. That's only if you're like a professional athlete or an Olympian. NSF certified for sport basically means that certain supplements have been tested by the NSF to make sure that they're free of banned substances. For you all, I wouldn't worry about that. But I think as far as supplements, and I'll talk more about supplements coming up, but I think supplements are important, just taking the right ones for you. Okay, so the next couple slides are talking about how to portion out your plate. So I'm a very visual person. I don't believe in having to count calories. I think calorie counting is very black and white. So I like to look more at the portions on your plate and the proportions of what you're eating. So about, on average, like half of your plate should be all of our vegetables, a quarter protein, a quarter some kind of carbohydrate, whether that be from a grain, starchy vegetable, or fruit. So there's 3 different steps on when you're balancing out your plate. So the first step, so all of these are going to be our natural anti-inflammatories and antioxidants. So these include fresh produce like fruits and vegetables and healthy fats, which are the unsaturated fats. So about 1 to 2 fistfuls on your plate. Unsaturated fats are going to be all of those types of fats that, again, are all natural anti-inflammatories. So a lot of your olive oils, nuts, seeds, avocado, oil-based salad dressings, all those fight inflammation. And then for produce, I would say get a rainbow of color on your plate. I think yellow is okay for certain vegetables and fruits by getting more color. So green, red, yellow, purple, all those different colors. The more color, the more antioxidants in on your plate. So all these foods, they help decrease your risk of injury, they lessen or prevent inflammation, they optimize your immune system, so you're going to get sick less. You're also going to have more energy and also help speed recovery too. So as far as how many fruits and vegetables we need every day, the average American, I would say 1 in 10 Americans meets these recommendations. So we need, in terms of fruit, we need about 1.5 to 2 cups of fruit every day. For vegetables, 3 to 4 cups. So whatever you're currently consuming, double that if you can. So this slide just shows you the different types of anti-inflammatory fats and then pro-inflammatory fats. So everything anti-inflammatory fights inflammation, good for the heart, everything. You want to eat more of those. I usually say 80-20%. So 80% anti-inflammatories, 20% it's okay to have those that are more like saturated fats, which are mostly derived from animals and tropical oils like coconut. If you do like butter, I would say butter is better than margarine, because margarine, a lot of margarines they contain those trans fats, and we want to eliminate those as much as possible. If you like dairy products, full fat dairy versus like 2% or 1%, I would go for 2% or 1%, or even skim.
With the good fats,
Yep.
how much when you say to eat of that?
Yep.
You said 2 fish.
Sure. So for the fats, it really varies from person to person, but about 20 to 35% of our total calorie consumption can come from fats. So I usually say at each meal, depending upon what our own needs are, about 1 to 2 servings of fat. Whenever you do eat, I always would encourage getting in some kind of fat, because in order for our bodies to absorb vitamins and minerals, we need fats. So for example, if you're having a big salad for lunch and there's like fat-free dressing, not like any fat on your plate, your body can't absorb all that good nutrition. The second step, so this is where some people tend to cut their portions way too low. So carbohydrates, it's unfortunate that carbs get a bad rap, but carbohydrates are very important. Our body needs carbohydrates to burn body fat. So if we cut carbs too low, it puts our bodies in starvation mode, so it's easier to regain the weight and then gain more weight. So carbs aren't the bad guy. When it comes to carbs, I would choose those that are minimally processed. So going for more like whole grains or fresh fruits. So some examples like whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, whole grain cereals, brown rice, black rice. Quinoa is another good type of carbohydrate. And as far as the quick carbohydrates, so these are all of the types of carbohydrates that are high in sugar. So you want to decrease those as much as possible. If you're super active, maybe have them, a few times a week, it's okay. But the majority of the carbohydrates that you consume, like 80% of the carbs that you consume, should be whole grain, fresh fruits, starchy vegetables like corn, peas, and potato, and winter squash. And carbohydrates, in terms of what we need a day, roughly between 40 and 65% of our total calorie needs. So if somebody's trying to lose weight healthfully, I would probably recommend going on the lower end of that, so 40% of your total calories coming from carbohydrates. And then lastly, step 3 is our proteins. So protein should be about the size of our open palm. You go out to eat, how big of a portion is steak or fish? Probably about 12 ounces, 16 ounces. When men, a good amount is about 4 to 6 ounces. Women, about 3 to 4 ounces at lunch and dinner. So with protein, I always encourage going for a good variety. So animal proteins like meat, fish, chicken, turkey, dairy like milk, yogurt, cheese, and then plant sources such as beans, lentils, nut butters, nut seeds. All those are good too. And then whenever you do eat, always getting in some kind of protein. And that goes with meals and snacks. Protein helps satiate us. It also helps boost our metabolism and also boost our immune system too. So lots of really good benefits for protein. These are some different lean protein sources. So again, about 80% of the protein that you consume should be from these lean protein sources. If you like ground beef or ground turkey, go for at least 90 to 95% lean. Beans are also really great, high fiber, good source of carbohydrate and protein. Any kind of chicken, turkey, skinless, grilled, baked, all that's a high quality protein source. Seafood, low fat dairy. White tuna in water or salmon in water. It's less expensive and it's high in protein too. Nuts or seeds, eggs are also good. I know eggs get a bad rap, but eggs are actually the best protein source and it has the good healthy fats in it too. It does have high cholesterol in it, but it's not the cholesterol in foods that raises our blood cholesterol. It's the saturated fat in foods, and eggs are very low in saturated fat, surprisingly. So all these are good lean protein sources. So again, the different roles of protein. So it is a critical nutrient for building and maintaining muscle tissue. Keeps us more alert too. So when you have a meal, like for example lunch, get some protein in there and you'll be more awake. So protein helps with that. Also builds our immune system. So if you get sick a lot, take a look and see how much protein that you're getting in. You might not be getting in enough protein. And if you want to gain muscle mass, it's not that we need more protein. You want to meet your protein needs throughout the day, but then get in extra calories from carbohydrates along with strength training. That's what builds muscle tissue. My brother played football in college and he was trying to gain weight. And he would live off of like plates and plates and plates of protein. And that's not how you gain muscle. You want to eat extra calories from carbohydrates and then strength train too. As far as protein timing is important when it comes to exercise if you're exercising every day. If you're not, I wouldn't worry so much about it. But if you are exercising every day, after about 15, 30 minutes post-workout, you want to get in some kind of protein. The maximum amount that our bodies can absorb at a given time, women about 20 to 30 grams, men about 30 to 40 grams. So what that looks like is for women about 3 to 4 ounces of chicken or turkey or a scoop of protein powder. For men about 4 to 6 ounces of some kind of protein-rich food or maybe 1 or 2 scoops of protein powder. And then post-workout, getting roughly about a ratio of 2 to 1 to carbs to protein. So some people think that after we work out, we need more protein than carbohydrate. In actuality, we need more carbs than protein, but you want to get both of them post-workout. So an example what that would be like is a smoothie, maybe like a fruit smoothie with some protein powder in it. That's a good example. So what should your plate look like? So depending upon what our own individual needs are, if you're trying to maintain your weight, gain weight, lose weight, how you portion your plate out is different. So if you're looking to either gain weight or you have a very fast metabolism, it's hard for you to maintain your weight, or you're training for a marathon or an Ironman, this is what your plate should look like. So about half of your plate, grains, even fruit, you could do fruits or grains, a quarter of your plate protein, and a quarter of your plate vegetable, and then fats on the side. If you're looking to maintain your weight, divide your plate into thirds. So a third grain or fruit, a third vegetable, a third protein. Protein doesn't really change, just the grains and the vegetables will change because you need different amounts of carbohydrates if you're trying to gain, lose weight, or maintain your weight. And then this is if you want to lose weight or maybe you're not training as strenuously. Half of your plate should be primarily vegetables, maybe some fruit, a quarter of your plate grains, and a quarter of your plate protein. Okay, so when it comes to nutrition and when we're exercising, what our overall goals are. So you want to match the calories that you're consuming with what you're expending, and you also want to match your fluid intake with sweat loss. And this is very critical for people, again, that are exercising every single day. So if you have inadequate energy, so you're not consuming the right amount of calories, especially carbohydrates and fluids, you're going to get tired more quickly. Because once we eat carbohydrates, the body tends to store those carbohydrates. Well, first, it uses it for energy. Whatever isn't used for energy gets stored in our muscle tissue for energy use later on. Then whatever is extra gets stored as body fat. So if you deplete all your glycogen stores, then you're going to get more tired, you're going to lose weight, muscle tissue. You don't want to lose muscle. You want to keep muscle mass on you because muscle burns more calories than fat. And your performance is also going to be impaired and your risk for getting sick and injured increase. So when it comes to hydration, so if you are dehydrated, that can drastically affect your sports performance or exercise performance by 25%. So always carrying around a water bottle with you, especially living out here in Arizona. So our daily goal is roughly 2 to 4 liters. So this smart water bottle is about 1 liter. So for women, we need about two to 3 of these a day, men about 3 to 4. And then more if you are exercising. So when you're exercising, roughly about a cup every 20 minutes. So about 3 cups approximately. And then post-workout, roughly about 2 to 3 cups. You want to take gulps over sips because you want to get in more fluid. You also want to swallow the fluid, not spit it out, because you want to cool your body temperature down. By spitting out the fluid, you're not going to cool down your body temperature, which then might set you up for being dehydrated. And then you want to drink, you don't want to pour it on you too. Now when it comes to sports drinks, do you all consume sports drinks when you're exercising? Like Gatorade, Powerade, okay. I would say that is really only beneficial if you are exercising for more than an hour. So for the first hour, plain water should be fine. After that first hour, switching over to some kind of glucose electrolyte solution like Powerade or Gatorade. When we see people drink a Gatorade with their lunch, that is not the purpose of Gatorade. It's basically to replenish sweat loss, water loss, and to keep your energy levels elevated by the sugar that's found in Gatorade or Powerade. You can also tell by the color of your urine to see if you are properly hydrated. So when you go to the bathroom, your urine should look more like a lemonade in color versus an apple juice in color. So if it looks more like apple juice, drink more water. It means that that kind of resembles, that brownish color resembles the amount of toxins that are building up in our bodies. So you want to stay well hydrated. And certain vitamins can actually make our urine turn bright yellow. I wouldn't worry about that, but I think certain B vitamins actually do that, and that's okay. When it comes to grocery shopping, grocery shopping is very important because you have to have the right foods at home. So I always encourage shopping the perimeter of most grocery stores, so 80% from the perimeter, a lot of our whole natural good foods. For whole grains, I would go for 100% whole grain products versus white products. Whole grains have more fiber, which helps stabilize blood sugar, increases the metabolism too. Going for good sources of fiber. As far as cereals, going for whole grain versus the bright, colorful cereals. All those bright, colorful cereals, not the best choices. Lots of preservatives, food dyes, not the best for our bodies. For granola bars, go for crunchy granola bars versus the gooey stuff. The gooey stuff probably has higher saturated fat content in it. Good source of omega-3s. Meats should be, again, at least 90% lean. When you look at the food label, when you all look at the food label, what do you mostly look for? Anything in particular? Okay, ingredients, very important. If it's a laundry list of ingredients, I would toss it. If you can't pronounce the words on the ingredients list, I would toss it. But other things you want to look for is that the amount of sugar. So sugar should be less than a half of the total carbohydrates per serving. If it's more than that, then that food item is high in sugar. Saturated fat should be less than 3 grams per serving, and trans fat should be as close to 0 as possible. Trans fats are the worst types of fats. They raise our lousy LDL cholesterol and lower our healthy HDL cholesterol. And a lot of the trans fats are found in a lot of processed foods. So the fewer ingredients, the better. And then if you can't pronounce the ingredients, toss it. Anything else that you all look for on the food label?
Calories and the number of servings.
Okay, that's a good one too, looking at serving size. Some people, when you grab or when you get a bag of chips, they think that 1 serving is the entire bag, but we're looking at the serving size, it's actually 4 to 6 servings, so it's a little bit different. And they've actually are in the process of changing the food label too, to make it more easy to kind of see the most important things on that food label. So when it comes to breakfast, one of the 3 most important meals of the day, if you're not a breakfast eater, I would eat something. Something's better than nothing. Even pizza from last night's dinner is better than nothing. So the food on the left is going to give you a lot more energy. It's going to make you feel good versus the food on the right. And they're actually very equivalent to calories. The donuts, they're going to give you lots of energy. Within 1 or 2 hours after, you're going to be crashed and you want to have more food. But if you get in a good mix of carbs, proteins, fats, it's going to give you that extended energy for hours. Now, donuts are fine, but get in some protein with it. So a donut with some eggs, that's a better balance then too. I don't believe in deprivation, but don't have donuts every single day, right? You want more variety. For lunch and dinner, all these are really good examples of what a balanced meal looks like. So here, like dividing your plate into thirds. So you got a third vegetable, a third starch, and a third protein on both of them, which is great. And the more color on your plate, the better. A lot more vitamins, minerals, fiber. All that's really good for you. Smoothie is also great to have if you're on the go. When it comes to making a smoothie, I would encourage the first thing that you want to do with a smoothie is a liquid. So you can do either cow's milk, almond milk, coconut milk, hemp milk, and then you want to get in some kind of produce. So I usually say 2 different produce. It could be 1 vegetable, 1 fruit, or 2 fruits. And then a protein. The protein could be a scoop of protein powder, a little bit of Greek yogurt, peanut butter, almond butter, and then a fat. And the fat could be from that almond butter or peanut butter, an avocado, about 1/4 of an avocado, and that makes it very satiating. Sure.
For protein powders, what kind of protein powders? There's soy, there's hemp, there's pea, there's whey. What kind of protein powders are best for women and what protein powders are best for men?
Sure. So when it comes to protein powder, it really depends upon what you can tolerate. So for some people that are lactose intolerant, I wouldn't get whey protein, even though whey protein is really great for a protein powder, but if you're lactose intolerant, I wouldn't have it. I would say hemp protein is really good. Pea protein is also a good one. Pea protein is a complete protein and it's a plant protein. So that would be fine too. But my first go-to, it would be whey protein and then pea protein. And you also want to be leery on products that have a lot of preservatives in them, artificial sweeteners. It really should just have protein powder. There's one brand in particular that I like, and his name is J. Rob. You can find his products either online. I know Sprouts has his products, Whole Foods has his products, but really his protein powder has no preservatives, artificial ingredients, and it's just pure protein. And it tastes pretty good too, because it should taste good. I've had protein powders that are awful, and I'm not going to drink it if it tastes bad. As far as when it comes to snacking, so snacking is important, just getting in the right amount or the right proportion of snacks. So all of these snack ideas up here are a good mix of carbs and protein. So some examples could be whole grain toast with almond butter, or an apple and almond butter. A handful of trail mix, a handful of almonds, and a piece of fruit is another good snack. Different bars. I'm a big bar person, just because if you're out and on the go a lot. Some bars that I like are Kind bars, Lara bars, Mojo bars, Luna bars are also pretty good too. A good mix of carbs and protein. Greek yogurt I love with granola. My favorite Greek yogurt brand is Siggi's. Siggi's is higher in protein, lower in sugar. I also like Shabani or Oikos, but Siggi's is my favorite. Cottage cheese and fruit, making a smoothie, half of a sandwich. So snacking is important, especially if you're going longer than 5 hours in between meals. If you don't have that small little snack, you might overeat at your next meal. Can also slow down metabolism, make you more moody, tired. So snacking is important. So this is a sample menu of somebody that exercises on a consecutive basis. So here you've got 3 meals, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, of snacks in between, and an evening snack, and a good mix of carbs and protein throughout the day, which is very important. So carbs, protein, healthy fats, and then staying well hydrated too, both at your meals or during the day, and then during your workouts as well. When it comes to foods and what we should eat before bed, so I often get asked this question about, is it good to eat right before bed? So yes and no. If you're starving, I would have something, because if you go to bed starving, you're not going to be able to sleep. And by not getting your sleep, it can set you up for being tired throughout the day, or eating more than you normally would eat. So eating the right proportion before bed is okay. If it's a big meal, I would wait about 3 to 4 hours before you go to bed. If it's about 2 hours before bed, a small snack, but it's all very individualized. All of these types of foods, what they do, if you have them right before bed, they can increase our stress hormone, which is called cortisol, which then can increase your risk of getting sick and injured. So fried foods, a lot of foods that are higher in fat take a longer time to be digested, so that can affect your sleep. So fried foods, lots of pizza, wings, ribs, high fatty foods. Sweets, lots of sugar can also prevent you from getting good quality sleep. Alcohol, not a good thing right before bed, because it does inhibit REM, which is that deep sleep, which is very important for us. Stimulants like caffeine, so coffee, sports drinks even have some caffeine, tea, soda, be careful of those. And then large portions. Eating too much, you're going to toss and turn in bed, you're not going to be able to sleep. When it comes to traveling, how many of you travel for your work? Nobody does? Okay. So if you were to travel, it could be either for work or for pleasure. Staying well hydrated is very important, because by flying at those high altitudes, sets our bodies up for being dehydrated. So staying well hydrated throughout the flight. Making sure that you eat a good breakfast on the day of your travel, because when we are traveling, it's easier to eat out or make not the best choices. So breakfast is one of the most important meals of the day. Trying to get to a sit-down or buffet style breakfast, and try to include step 1, step 2, and step 3. So dividing your plate into those thirds, fruits or vegetables, grains, and protein. These are some examples of breakfast ideas for on-the-go traveling. And the commonality among all of these is that they have a good mix of carbs and protein. So some examples could be a whole wheat bagel thin with some peanut butter and yogurt, a breakfast sandwich and fruit, some kind of granola bar with string cheese and almonds, Quaker oatmeal on the go with yogurt. Some healthy fast food choices. How many of you go out to eat in here? Any fast food eaters in here? Some of the menus are getting better. So these are some healthy fast food choices. So I'm a big believer in getting a starter salad, lots of green vegetables with a healthy dressing, so a vinaigrette dressing, which is an anti-inflammatory. Skipping the greasy appetizer, just extra calories, extra fat too that we don't need. You can substitute vegetables, salad, or fruit for the French fries. If you have to have French fries, and split it with the person that you're going out to eat with. Trying to choose tomato sauce over creamy sauces. So tomato sauce is anti-inflammatory. Creamy sauces actually can cause inflammation. Getting spreads on sandwiches and other sauces on the side, because a lot of these dressings can quickly add up in terms of calories. As far as our proteins, going for lower fat cooking methods like grilled, baked, broiled, stir-fried as opposed to fried. Making a lean meat, not the pasta, the entree. Oftentimes if we go out to eat, if we order a pasta dish, it's a huge portion of lots of carbs. So trying to make your main entree protein and then adding a vegetable and starch to it. Portion sizes is probably the biggest thing these days. I was talking to somebody before I came in here today, and he said to me, he said the biggest thing is portion size. And I think if you think back to years ago where a serving of like soda was like about 12 ounces, now it's like what, Big Gulp, which is like liters of soda. So the portion sizes have gotten a lot bigger. Our plate sizes too have gotten larger. Those plates look like they're pretty like accurate, but today's plates actually are getting larger. So be careful of portions. When it comes to caffeine, any caffeine drinkers in here? Okay, I love caffeine. So caffeine for many people can be a good thing. If you've got high blood pressure, be careful. But caffeine, it is a central nervous stimulant. If you have more than 300 milligrams a day, that can cause problems. So these problems include having an increased anxiety, restlessness, jitteriness. It can affect your sleep. It can also cause GI problems and also can be addicting, especially if we hit that 500 milligram mark. So in terms of how much caffeine is in a cup of coffee, it varies from coffee to coffee. But on average, a cup of coffee has about 100 to 150 milligrams of caffeine. So two to three cups a day I think is okay. Anything more than that, it becomes addicting. So your first thing in the AM, if you love your coffee, have your coffee. But if it's 3 o'clock and you still want more coffee, I would kind of like try to wean yourself off of that and maybe drink tea or green tea or something of that sort. So some benefits of caffeine, it does boost our memory and mood. It also boosts our exercise performance. So if you're looking to use caffeine to boost your exercise, caffeine has a half-life. So say, for example, if you want to get the full benefits of caffeine, I would have your cup of coffee 1 hour before your exercise. By the time you exercise, you're getting that full benefit of caffeine. Can also boost your work performance, and then also actually decreases our risk of some diseases, like certain types of cancers. But moderation is key, so more isn't always better. The caffeine content in different types of beverages. So a 5-hour energy drink has 150 milligrams. I don't like those. I would say drink coffee over those because those are very tiny for a lot of caffeine, and a lot of sugar and preservatives are in that. A Starbucks coffee, huge range from 260 milligrams to 550 milligrams. So be careful with Starbucks, it is higher in caffeine. One espresso shot has less than a cup of coffee, but for one shot, anywhere between 75 to 150 milligrams of caffeine. Mountain Dew, 118 milligrams, and Red Bull, the smaller Red Bull, which is about one cup serving. Now they make Red Bulls that are about 2.5 that size. So you're probably getting in about at least 250 milligrams of caffeine in that one large Red Bull. So Red Bull, the smaller one, 80 milligrams. And with the Red Bull, you're getting a lot of like extra sugar. If it's diet, you're getting the artificial sweeteners. So I'm not a big Red Bull fan. Anybody like Red Bull in here? Yeah, I'd rather have coffee. I don't know. That's just me though. So a sample day. So caffeine can add up quite quickly. And when I was working in baseball, it was interesting because Red Bull is NSF certified for sport. So because the athletes know that, they think that it's actually good for them. And some of it is okay, but when you have Red Bull like in your dugout, like tons of Red Bull, it's not a good thing. So too much Red Bull is not good for us. So this day, it quickly adds up. This is 700 milligrams of caffeine. So this person, 5 a.m. pre-workout, they're getting a pre-workout shake, and that shake has caffeine in it. So be careful because caffeine's in so many different things these days. So 100 milligrams of caffeine is in that breakfast or that pre-workout shake. 9 a.m., 2 cups of coffee, and that 2 cups of coffee, that water bottle right there is about 16 ounces, so it's pretty easy to get 2 cups of coffee, and that's about 300 milligrams of caffeine. Iced tea for lunch, another coffee in the afternoon, that's 700 milligrams of caffeine, so it adds up quite quickly. And I knew somebody who consumed, this gentleman, he was trying to lose weight. He was very much overweight, and he was on the ketogenic diet. And the ketogenic diet is very low carbohydrate, moderate protein, high fat. And because carbohydrates are the body's primary fuel source, this guy just had no energy. And so he would turn to caffeine to keep his energy levels up. And he must have been consuming about 2,000 to 3,000 milligrams of caffeine a day, which is a lot, too much, not good at all. And his heart was racing, it was awful. So caffeine is okay, but too much of it is not good for us. So a healthier amount throughout the day, which is less than 300 milligrams of caffeine a day. So your pre-workout snack, 5 a.m., going for whole foods first. Our bodies recognize whole foods much better than a supplement. So getting in a good mix of carbs and protein. So an example could be a yogurt or a half a banana with some peanut butter on it, a good mix of carbs and protein. 9 a.m., have a half-calf coffee, so 2 cups of half-calf, which is 150 milligrams of caffeine. At lunch, caffeinated-free beverage like a water or an herbal tea you can do. 3 p.m., green tea, and your total for the day is no more than 250 milligrams of caffeine. But it can add up quite quickly. So when it comes to alcohol and exercise performance is not the best. So alcohol, it is dehydrating. So for every serving of alcohol, you need to have at least 2 cups of water. It can disrupt your sleep, which can then impair your work performance, athletic performance, may delay recovery from exercise because your liver is that filter place for the alcohol. So your liver is so hard at working to get rid of that alcohol that all the other all the other foods aren't being properly filtered out. So it can actually delay your recovery from exercise. Does contain calories, especially all the high sugary ones, can be as much as 500 to 1,000 extra calories a day. Can affect your blood sugar and weight. A lot of alcohol is metabolized like a fat. So if you drink a lot of alcohol, moderation is about 1 serving a day for women and up to 2 a day for men. If you're getting in more than that, it can lead to weight gain, especially around your midsection, which then increases our risk of different diseases. When it comes to supplements, so again, I don't recommend supplements over food. I think whole foods first and then supplement as needed. So all the supplements that I have here I think are good for most people. So the first one is a good daily multivitamin. I usually tend to go for those sold at like a Sprouts or Whole Foods because they have higher regulations in terms of what products they allow in their grocery store. Multivitamin, really good for boosting our immune function. Vitamin D is another important vitamin. A lot of our multivitamins have vitamin D in it, but a lot of us are deficient in vitamin D. So if you don't know what your vitamin D level is, I would get a simple blood check to see where your levels are at. If you are low in vitamin D, that can increase your risk of different diseases, including Alzheimer's, can actually affect our mood, and also decrease our metabolism. So vitamin D is very important. We need roughly about 1,000 IUs per day. We can get some vitamin D from food, including sun-baked mushrooms. So put mushrooms out on your windowsill. The mushrooms then absorb the sunlight, and then we eat that and we get vitamin D that way. Fatty fish like salmon or tuna, fortified cereal, fortified juices, and fortified dairy products. But to get the amounts of vitamin D that we need from food, it's very difficult. So taking a good supplement is recommended. Probiotics are also very important. Having a healthy gut can dramatically affect our brain health too. So we're seeing a lot of new research out there about the gut microbiome and how if you have an unhealthy gut, that can affect so many different illnesses, including our mood. So probiotics, very healthy. I usually take 1 to 3 of those little capsules a day. But we can also get probiotics from food, including yogurt, miso soup, garlics, onions, artichokes, and also like fermented foods like pickles, fermented vegetables, kimchi, kombucha, which I have not ever, I don't like that drink at all. Do you all like that drink? Ever try it? Takes an acquired taste. I don't like it, but it's good for you. Calcium is also very important for bones. So we need roughly about 1,000 to 1,500 milligrams of calcium a day. So if you're not getting in 3 servings of calcium a day from food, you want to take a supplement then. Omega-3s are good for the brain, so they boost our mood, they fight depression, and they're also good for our hearts. And they also produce leptin. So leptin is a hormone that is found in our fat tissue. And if we don't have enough leptin in our bodies, what that does is that then we tend to overeat then. So leptin helps us feel more satiated after we have a meal. And then sports drinks as needed. If you're exercising for more than an hour a day, then use a Gatorade or Powerade. And the purpose of that is that it gives you the electrolytes like sodium and potassium. Sodium in particular, that's lost through sweat. You also get the water in it and also sugar. So when you're exercising for more than an hour, you need those carbohydrates to keep your energy levels up. So sports drinks are very helpful for that. So in summary, I would just some key takeaways. So fueling, very important, about 5 to 6 times a day, roughly 3 meals and 2 to 4 snacks if needed. Choosing protein about the size of your palm. So for men, 4 to 6 ounces, women, 3 to 4 ounces. Choosing carbohydrates that are minimally processed, fats that are unsaturated. All these are natural anti-inflammatories. When it comes to hydration, about 1/2 to 1 ounce of fluid per pound of body weight. So on average for women, about 2 liters, men 3 liters a day, and then more when you're exercising. Supplement smart. Every day a daily multi and an omega-3 fatty acid for most of us. Do you all take omega-3s in here at all? Okay. It wouldn't hurt, I don't think. If you eat fish, say if you get 12 ounces of fish a week, and that's the fatty fish like salmon and tuna, you probably don't need an omega-3. But if you don't, then I think it's beneficial. And then when it comes to training and performance, if you are training on consecutive days, getting in the right amounts before and after you work out in terms of food. And then sleep is also very important. If you're not getting adequate sleep, that can affect our food choices, our energy levels, our mood. So on average, we need roughly about 7 to 8 hours a night. How do you all do with sleep in here? Not that good. Okay. So to figure out how much sleep you need, what you could do is take 2 nights during the week and then 1 night on the weekend. Go to bed and wake up naturally, hopefully not on a work day because you don't want to oversleep. And then you take the average time between those 3 days, and that's how much sleep you need. So some people have been blessed with a gene where they only need 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night. I wasn't blessed with that. I have to get at least like 7, and then I'm good to go. But on average, about 7 to 8 hours a night of sleep. Okay, so if you wanted to write down 3 takeaways that maybe you learned today that you can apply to your own lifestyle to hold yourself accountable, you can do that. But any questions?
Chrissy, we have a question.
Oh, sure.
Her name is Kelly Dottie, and she's the EA for MCO 866. She says, I'm a runner currently training for my first triathlon. I have read an article recently which suggests that when you fuel your body, it is important as what you choose to fuel it with. What do you recommend pre and post workout to fuel your body for a long cardio workout? And is there an ideal time to consume it? Example, 20 minutes versus the first hour. I ask this because I have a difficult time consuming anything before a long workout and for nearly an hour afterwards. Any suggestions to help with this? That would be great.
Sure, and I would say it probably depends upon when this person is training. I had an athlete recently, a young male runner, and when he would run in the morning, he would have a small snack and he would be fine during his run. But then when he would run in the evening and he would have a small snack before that, he would cramp, he just felt terrible. So my question to her is when she's running. It really depends upon then what her body can tolerate in terms of the right mix of carbs and protein. You could go from chews to gels that are easier to digest than foods. And each person is so different. So whatever works for somebody might not work for somebody else. So I would just experiment with different types of combinations of foods or supplements.
What's the best, if you're going to have cheese,
Mm-hmm.
what type of cheese?
Okay. The best type of cheese if you want to have cheese.
Yeah, is it, I mean, just low fat?
Mm-hmm.
Is anything low fat? Or-
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say fat-free because like fat-free cheeses are probably loaded with preservatives, sugar, salt to make it taste better. But with cheese, I would say go with the real stuff, but then just watch how much you're having. So 1 or 2 ounces a day is perfectly fine. And if you want to go with regular cheese or light cheese or reduced fat cheese, that's fine too. Yeah.
And then
Good.
for supplements,
Mm-hmm.
I don't take a multivitamin, but I like take moringa powder.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with
No,
that.
what is that?
It's like a super food.
Okay.
It's a tree that grows in arid climates, and it's got more protein than like 3 servings of spinach and all these amazing
Okay.
vitamins and minerals
Mm-hmm.
in it. So, but if you're not familiar with it, I was
Yeah,
wondering if that
no.
was a good substitute. Maybe I'm not.
Yeah, so with that, I mean, I would look and see like the ingredients list and what's in it and the vitamins and minerals too. When it says that it's got 3 times the amount of protein than spinach, so spinach has about maybe 2 grams of protein per cup. So that probably has maybe about like 6 grams or 7 grams of protein, which still is a very small amount. But I would probably use that as like in conjunction to a daily multi. I'm just curious if they're adding anything else to it, like vitamins or minerals at all.
No, they don't.
Okay.
Have anything into it. It's just
Okay.
hydrated.
Okay, so,
Sprinkle it on foods,
okay,
dressings.
sure. So that sounds great, like as an optimizer, but I would add a good daily multivitamin to the mix. Just for insurance purposes, I think it's great to do because we can't get everything from our food, so a good daily multi would be a good choice.
How do you feel about apple cider vinegar?
Ah.
Like, my mom's
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's interesting. One of my colleagues at ASU is a researcher, and a lot of her research is on apple cider vinegar, and she's finding a lot of really good benefits from it, from increasing our metabolism to, I mean, just like helping maintain blood sugar levels. So if you have it, I would say have about an ounce of it or like a shot glass of it, but then make sure that you dilute it in about 8 to 12 ounces of water. By having it straight, it can erode your esophagus because it is vinegar. So mix it in water and that would be fine. I think it's fine to do. Mm-hmm. Yep, good questions. Any other questions?
I saw one of the slides about low-fat milk.
Okay,
What about non-fat milk?
sure.
The differences?
Sure. I think with non-fat milk, actually non-fat milk has more calcium than 1%, 2% or whole milk. Whatever your preference is, I think is fine. We can talk about going for organic versus non-organic. When it comes to dairy products, like milk, for example, I tend to choose more organic based. I think it tastes better. But whatever works best for you, whether it be skim, 1% or 2%, I think that's fine. Mm-hmm. If it's chocolate milk, it will. Nope. The first 12 grams of sugar in a cup of milk is all natural sugar, and that's lactose. Anything above that is added sugar. Same thing with yogurt. The first 12, 15 grams of sugar is natural lactose. Anything above that is added sugar. So when you're looking for a good yogurt, if you go for Greek yogurt, it's higher in protein. But if it's just regular yogurt, I would say limit the sugar or carbohydrate content to no more than 20, 23 grams of sugar. Anything over that is pretty high in sugar. And Siggy's yogurt is out of among all the yogurts is lowest in sugar, highest in protein. It is more expensive, but I think it is one of the better ones out there. Any other questions? Okay. Yep. Oh, good. Okay. Good? I'm getting a thumbs up. Okay, we're good. Yay.